Are we at the Twin Pines Mall or are we at the Lone Pines Mall? There. Now we can see. Welcome everybody. Power Wash Simulator. So we're closing in towards the end. We only have 2 jobs left. But before we tackle these jobs, I wanted to tackle some of the DLC campaigns, extra missions, stuff like that. And one of the first things at the top of my list when I saw that it existed was the Back to the Future DLC. Back to the Future was one of my all-time favorite movies growing up. I used to watch a lot of James Bond movies on TV, on cable as a kid. Back to the Future was always playing. And because it's such a unique trilogy, you never knew which Back to the Future you were watching. Well, at least I didn't. Obviously, if you saw the Western setting, you knew you were in 3. But as a kid, I never knew which movie I was watching, and I never sat down and fully watched all 3 movies back to back to kind of understand what was happening. To me, it was just this really neat, confusing movie that would come on a lot, mostly on the weekends. I was very intrigued by it. Obviously, it came out when I was like 1 year old. Yeah, in 85, I'd have been 1 year old. But I did grow up watching it over and over again. Then, obviously, as a teenager, I took the time to sit down and watch all 3 movies back to back to kind of get the gist of it. And I've rewatched the trilogy a million times. You know, it predates my Jurassic Park obsession. Of course, Jurassic Park is still my favorite, but Back to the Future is like my second favorite, I think. If I had to, definitively put it to, pen and paper or something and choose a second favorite, it would definitely be Back to the Future. I love Back to the Future. Now, for the story of this, apparently we're just cleaning the movie props. We're not actually supposed to be in the movie. Is how they decided to go with the DLC for this. So I guess we're at the filming location, at the mall. And we're just going to wash Doc Brown's van. Dr. Emmett Brown Enterprises, 24-hour scientific services. 24-hour scientific services? What's that supposed to mean? That's about as fishy as like the whole Ghostbusters thing. But by the nature of the movies, because Marty ends up going back to 1955, twice? It can be a little confusing, especially if you're young and you're relying on cable to show the movies without any ability to pause, rewind, fast forward. It's cable television prior to all those, like, I forgot the name of those. Remember those boxes that came out in the late 90s or early 2000s where you could like capture live television and rewind it or pause it or skip commercials? What were the name of those boxes? I can't remember. Ew. What is wrong with you? You like to eat French fries with toothpaste flavored ice. What is the matter with you? Well, if that's the wrong chat, what's the right chat? Ew. 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 Gross. You're a gross one. Mr. Grinch. That was another movie they showed a million times when I was a kid. The animated Grinch movie. There were just always this, there were always movies that you could count on that would be around for certain times of the year, all throughout the whole year. I remember. I do. That Christmas Story movie, You'll Shoot Your Eye Out, Kid, that played every single Christmas. Like they would start playing that movie around Thanksgiving and then it would just play on a loop throughout November and December, or at least through December. That was crazy. Those were crazy times. Crazy times. Ah. Okay. Let's see. Oh, we have the whole side here. I bet I still have to do the top too. Now, the interesting thing about the Back to the Future set is the clock tower and everything is actually a backlot at Universal Studios in California. So it's not a real town or anything, but they've used it in a ton of other movies. The mall, I think, was an actual mall. I think this mall is like real. You could go here if you wanted to. I don't. I want to say it was a Sears or a J.C. Penney or something. It's not that anymore. I don't know if J.C. Penney is still a thing, but I think Sears went under. You watched Dodgeball? Oh, what'd you think? I told you it was something, wasn't it? It was a weird one, but I love it. I love Dodgeball. Because like early 2000s comedies are hit or miss. A lot of them are very, very cringe. Very, very cringe. But sometimes something like Dodgeball will come along and you're just like, magnifico. Magnifi. But I think the DeLorean is probably one of, if not the most iconic movie car. You have the Jeeps and the Ford Explorer from Jurassic. A lot of times I'll see the A-Team van, Scooby Doo's Mystery Machine van, the Dukes of Hazzard car. What else do I see a lot? The Ecto 1 and 2 from Ghostbusters. Um, what other? The Knight Rider car. What other famous movie cars do we see a lot of times on the road? The DeLorean is probably one of the harder ones to do because the DeLorean is not by any means a cheap vehicle to procure, given the fact that it was a limited production by a cokehead in the 80s who went to prison. I do know that they still have, like, the factory just sat there for decades, and then they reopened it because they still had all the parts just sitting there from the 80s, and you can actually sign up on a wait list now and have a new DeLorean made out of those old parts, or have you can buy restoration parts. But yeah, back in the 2000s, you could probably get a DeLorean on eBay for around $10,000. I have to assume that over the past decade or two, it's shot up exponentially. But the DeLorean is definitely one of my like dream cars. If I were a millionaire, I'd like to say that I would spend the majority of it on like charities and helping my friends and family and stuff. The same thing I think most people would do. But I would definitely I would treat myself to a DeLorean. Like I want the DeLorean more than I want I want the DeLorean more than I would want a Jurassic Park Jeep or car. No. The DeLorean supersedes all other movie cars for me. It's a classic. It's a time machine. But I do have a general, like, I'm not a car guy, but I do have a general fascination for the DeLorean story, like outside of the Back to the Future movies, like just the whole crazy wackadoo story IRL stuff behind the DeLorean, it's bonkers. Like those cars were made with drug money, and while that's not good, it is funny. Like we can look back 40 years later and laugh at it, I think, unless you don't have a sense of humor. But they're not particularly a good car. They were fraught with issues. They were kind of like it has a steel body and frame, which is nice, but to my understanding, the DeLorean had a lot of problems. So I don't know. Um, I don't know how easy it would be to like get replacement parts because it was such a specialized car. I guess the James Bond cars are worth mentioning of note as well because of you have the Aston Martin, which at this point is kind of like a very infamous James Bond car. But you have that weird amphibian car that you could like take into the water and it would change into like a mini submarine. That was wild. There was a little mini helicopter. The 007 flew. There have been a handful of good James Bond vehicles. Don't ask me what they all are off the top of my head. I couldn't tell you what they are off the top of my head. I did see yesterday that the actor who played the principal in Back to the Future just passed away. He was in his 90s. Wow. In his 90s, folks. Because he was old and bald in the 80s. I don't know why I always say that. Being old and bald are not mutually exclusive, but you know what I mean. But yeah, a lot of those early 2000s comedies can be hit or miss because you get things like American Pie or Road Trip. A lot of those stoner comedy movies, um, I think they vary depending on your own personal taste. Like we thought they were goofy and funny when we were teenagers back in the day. When when these movies were Scary Movie, Not Another Teen Movie. That was another good one we really liked. But looking back now that we're older and we live in kind of a different social climate, I don't know. A lot of those movies don't exactly hold up. They did not age. They aged like milk. So and it doesn't even necessarily have anything to do with being PC for me. It's just that the jokes were very much of their time and they're not funny today. Like stoner teenage me would probably giggle and think they were funny, but like grown up 40-year-old Eric who's sober, nah, I don't find them funny. Except for Dodgeball. Dodgeball is still funny to me, no matter what. No, don't go up the ladder. They wanted me to build them a bomb, so I gave them a box full of shiny used pinball parts. They found me. I don't know how, Marty, but they found me. What found who? The Libyans! That's how he got his plutonium. The Libyans wanted him to build a bomb. He said he would. They gave him the plutonium. He gave them a fake bomb. And then they came after his ass. It's good to know that Doc Brown would not give terrorists an actual bomb just for the sake of building a time machine. That I'm pretty happy about. I could quote Back to the Future is like Jurassic Park, one of those movies where I know every scene by heart. I can quote so much of the movie by heart, you know. It was nice to see Chuck Norris's participation in the movie, especially now that he's passed away. Which one? Wait, was Chuck Norris in Dodge? Chuck Norris wasn't in Dodgeball. Chuck Norris was also a raging homophobe, so he can go fuck himself. You know, that's something that a lot of people don't think about. You know, a lot of these people weren't good people. Hulk Hogan, Chuck Norris. You know, they were they were a huge part of a lot of people our age's childhood with their movies and shows and whatnot. And people idolized them, and I can understand idolizing them, but it's just if they weren't such a douche canoe with their political and social beliefs, then it wouldn't be quite so bad. I do not remember Chuck Norris being in Dodgeball. I remember the guy from Ben Stiller, not Ben, yeah, Ben Stiller, is that his name? The guy from Meet the Parents and what else was he in? Lord, I can't remember. The guy from Meet the Parents. I know he was the villain in Dodgeball, but I don't remember Chuck Norris. Really, Chuck Norris was in Dodgeball. Let me get the last one. Oh, only a few seconds on screen. That would be why I don't remember. That's crazy. I know he was in there. Yeah, I'm not going to get into a whole thing and ruin our happy conversation, but I will just say this: it's exhausting a lot of days having to worry about who you can support and who you have to like say was a bad. It's who you have to say was a bad person. It's exhausting. It's tiring. It really is. The most disappointing part is like if you ever come across a celebrity that you really like and you support them and follow their career for years, and then one day they turn out to be a raging like lunatic, racist, homophobic, whatever, like all the phobics. Shia LaBeouf. We've always known Shia LaBeouf was crazy, but it was fun crazy in the cuckoo bananas kind of way, not in the harmful kind of way. But then recently he kind of lost his shit. And now we see him for who he really is. Sucks. It sucks. It sucks. It really, really sucks. Never meet your hero. Shia LaBeouf was not my hero, but I'm just generalizing. Like, everybody disappoints. Look at this. Now, how am I supposed to get the trim is could have swore I had all of these lights done and covered. Nope, I was wrong. Now I do. Separate the art from the artist. I am starting to understand why people are so hardcore about that now. I really am. Like, Jesus Christ. Um, I feel like we owe Michael Jackson an apology. You know, for years and years, I was like, did he do it? Did he not do it? I wanted so bad to believe he was innocent because his music's just so good. And then when that documentary came out a handful of years ago, I watched it and I was like, oh, well, I'm convinced. I'm very much convinced that he did what he did. Now that P. Diddy documentaries come out that makes Michael Jackson look innocent, I have flip-flopped because I have no way of knowing. These are complete strangers. Like how would I know? You know what I mean? It's tough. It's tough. But I think I might have been swayed by everything that's happened in the past 10 years to say, yeah, maybe we do need to separate the art from the artist. Maybe that's a thing we can do. Maybe I've been too harsh, you know. Obviously there will be extreme circumstances where you just can't. But I think I have softened on the idea of separating the art from the artist. Yes. I think a mature, emotionally mature, sound minded adult should be able to separate the art from the artist. But at the same time, art is an expression of the soul. And if somebody is like a terrible person or a pedo or whatever, that makes it a little more difficult to say separate the art from the artist. It's one thing if they're just a wackadoo. It's another thing when kids get involved. So I don't know. That can be kind of that can be kind of tough. Complete Doc Brown's van. Fans of the artist and their music or movies. Yeah, now see, that's a big thing too. Like the whole idea of celebrity. You abandon like worshiping the artist instead of like really just listening to their music or whatever. That's not great. That's not great. Not great at all. Ooh, now it's time to do the time machine. All right, give me 1 second. I have I opened Pokemon Go and then it exploded in the microphone. Yeah. I'm trying to get Fat Pikachu. It takes like 20 people. I don't know 20 people that still play Pokemon Go. Right. There she is, the most beautiful car in the world. You can actually hear it. one spray and the tag's already clean. But yeah, the DeLorean, even without all of the wacky like sci-fi stuff attached to the back of it, just the baseline DeLorean, really like nothing screams 1980s futurism like the DeLorean. It's kind of why I want one. I love 1980s futurism and aesthetic. Like, could you go to YouTube and you type in like, I don't know, 80s lo-fi mix, whatever the hell, it always comes up with the same images. You know, that crazy sunset looking image of the palm trees and the oranges and the pinks and I love the vivid, wild, bright, loud, screaming colors of the 1980s too. Nothing was toned down. You know, you get those pink jumpsuits everybody was wearing. I don't know. I'm young enough to remember some of the 80s, but not old enough to remember it. Like, I was a teenager in the late 90s, not the late 80s, so it's a little harder. So, I hate to do this, but no choice. I got to get up here. But I think the DeLorean will always be my favorite car. And again, I'm not a car guy, so I don't know a lot about cars. I don't know a lot about the DeLorean itself. Honestly, I just think it looks cool. Wow, listen to all the popping. Mm-hmm. 88 miles per... I don't know how fast the DeLorean goes. Like, I don't know what its top out speed is. If you looked at the speedometer, it might be 100. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I hope it's okay to get all this stuff wet. He did fly the car in the rain once. Twice. I know we saw it in the rain. Your favorite's the classic Jurassic Park Jeep? Like the gas-powered Jeep or the electric car, tour car? I loved the Echo 1 growing up. Like, the Ghostbuster car was the quintessential, like, you know, movie car for me. But until the DeLorean dethroned it pretty quickly. Like, those are very iconic vehicles. The Ecto, the DeLorean. Hell, even in the Ninja Turtles cartoon, they had that van. They didn't have it in the movie, but they had it in the cartoon. They had that van. That was kind of neat. I think I had that toy. I think everybody had that toy. Somebody said something once on social media that made me feel a little better about owning like toys and figures and things like that at my big age. They said that millennials grew up in a very special time to where we have a hard time letting things go. Like, we have a hard time letting our childhood go. We just won't let our childhood die. We wear t-shirts, hats. We buy figures, Funko Pops, lunch boxes. We play video games that call back to our childhood. We're like the most nostalgic as far as generations of humans go. Like, we're the most gullible for purchasing stuff based on our childhood. And given that we are now living through a quote unquote historical event every week, I don't care anymore. I don't care anymore. The past week or so on my YouTube channel or on my Kick, my Twitch, my whatever, on my show, I've learned not to care. It's okay to be happy. Yeah. To find. Right, am I missing anything on the front of the car? Yes, right here. Oh, let me get the steps. Stupid. Yeah, I go back and forth, and I'm always on the fence with whether or not I should have a bunch of stuff, from my childhood that reminds me of happier times. But I think I have finally gotten to the point where I no longer care what people might think or say. Me having a dinosaur on my desk or me owning a plushie or something ain't gonna hurt you or take away from your life in the slightest little bit. So maybe this will help get those hard to reach spaces. Okay, where might there be? I've never taken the time to really look at this stuff. Ooh, look, there's a heat sink right there. A lot of this reminds me of all the NOS and stuff you get in like Need for Speed games or the Fast and Furious movie. Oh yeah, the Fast and Furious cars. Those another famous movie cars. Okay, come on. It'll be hard to get it. Bullet reclamation. Well, that is kind of a hard, tough spot. He puts Mr. Fusion on here eventually. I'm trying. There we go. I got it. Cooling tanks. Cooling tanks. Cooling tanks. Um. Oh, yep, that'll do it. I missed those tires, huh? How did I miss the tires? Which tire did I miss? Oh, would it be on the backside, maybe? Yep. Right there. Right on the back. Boom. Flux boxes. I tell you what, I don't know what in the world a flux box is. The flux capacitor. It's what makes time travel possible. I was standing in my bath. I was in my bathroom. I was hanging a clock. I was standing on the edge of the toilet, I think. Toilet, he said, maybe. The porcelain was wet. I slipped and fell, and I hit my head. When I came to, I drew this. A flux capacitor. It's what makes time travel possible. A flux capacitor. Be listening to me while you're doing some things. You do front toe rings. You do whatever you need to do. I didn't even know these were here. The thought of the DeLorean towing something or being towed in that way. Not that weird cat face. Okay, looks like we're down to just one single thing. Rear flux boxes. I was just looking for those a minute ago. What is a flux box? Flux box. Yeah, we have been very fortunate. Robert Zemeckis and whoever else is in charge of those decisions said that Back to the Future will be remade over their dead bodies. And I have appreciated that little part of Hollywood my entire life. In a sick, sad world of endless, needless reboot bullshits, they have always made sure that nobody touches Back to the Future. And I have really adored and treasured them for that. Like, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Could you imagine them trying to modernize this franchise, this IP, or whatever you want to call it? Like, no, just no. No. Well, I gotta tell you, I don't know what I'm looking for. We are literally down to, oh, I see them. I see them. Ping, and job finished. Wait, come back. Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads. Oh! What I tell you? 88 miles per hour! Jesus Christ! Jesus Christ, Doc! You disintegrated Einstein! Don't worry, Marty. The structural integrity of both Einstein and the DeLorean are safely intact. Then where the hell are they? The question isn't where the hell are they, it's when the hell are they. You see, Einstein just became the world's first time traveler. I didn't know I could put out the... This is cool. Oh, it went out on its own. Well, never mind. We watched it come back. God, I love this movie so much. In a world where Jurassic Park never existed, Back to the Future trilogy would be my favorite all-time movie trilogy. It really would. The original Back to the Future and 2, more so than 3, I guess. 3 was okay, but it wasn't my favorite thing in the world. But, yeah. Boom.